Hey friend, Roger Christopherson here again with another first listen review. If you were just kicking back, thinking, I really enjoy listening to somebody babble about some music right now, well then I am the answer to that problem because I'm about to babble about this album here, which I really was not planning on doing. I actually just kind of picked this one up because I thought it looked cool to have, because I'm like one of those people that, even though I hate when, labels reissue the same album over and over again, I have to have it anyway. And that's what Cleopatra did with this one. It's from UFO. It's called Ain't Misbehavin. And technically, I guess it wasn't even really an album. It was just an EP. And I remember getting this one a long time ago, but I really didn't remember much about it. It's just, one of those things you listen to, and you put on the shelf and then kind of forget about. So for me, it was like listening to a brand new album all over again. But I was really surprised at how good it was and why I hadn't listened to it in so long. I really don't know. Kind of strange, which is kind of like why I'm doing this one, because part of one of my other things I do is I talk about overlooked gems. So this one's kind of an overlooked gem, I guess. I didn't realize how good this one actually was. And plus, I've also done some reviews on UFO before, so I didn't want to seem like it was overkill, but why not? Well, I got nothing else to do right at the moment, so I figured I'd do this. So this was like a weird point in time for UFO. They had just recorded an album and done a tour, and it didn't go so well, and they had broken up. But Phil Mogg had gotten in touch with Mike Varney, who was head of one of the, was it Shrapnel Records? Is that Mike Varney's? Jeez, I can't remember. I really should do some research on this before I start talking, but I really wasn't planning on doing this one. And got a hold of a guitar player by the name of Tommy McClendon, who was actually, I guess he was famous for being born in Japan or something. That's what they always make a big deal about. But he went by the name Atomic Tommy M, and he recorded the album Misdemeanor with him. And they kind of got signed, and they, the record label wanted to use the name UFO a lot. It happens with a lot of bands, whatever the popular name is. I can think of Yes and Black Sabbath, coming to mind, being forced to use the name when it really, wasn't the band at that point in time. But anyway, that's beside the point. And the reason I bring this all up is because one of the very first albums I ever got from UFO, because this is kind of like going back to the time when I was, learning about all these bands. I was kind of really getting into music, mid to late 80s. And I was getting really into Michael Schenker, and UFO was one of the bands, and of course, that a lot of these people bring up. And I didn't really have much UFO. They didn't play it on the radio from where I'm from. There was no internet. There was just, magazines you read, and you read about other bands and, musicians being inspired by UFO. So going through the record bin one day, I found Misdemeanor in the cutouts. I remember finding it. I remember thinking, okay, that's cool. So that was, I don't remember the price or anything like that. Went home and listened to it and really liked that album. So, and I still have the vinyl of that one too. So it's kind of interesting that I still kept that one, because everything from that, this point on, I've gotten on CD just because it's easier to store, and it's just easier to go around and listen to it pop in the car. Can't drive around with the record player going. So that's where I got into UFO, was this time frame. And then of course I went back and explored and found Michael Schenker and all kinds of stuff. So back to this EP. They've re-released it, reissued it, whatever, with some bonus tracks on it. But the bonus tracks are actually the least thing I'm talking about here. These songs are actually really good. If it was kind of fit the style of the music at the time, but it still sounds like UFO. So what I mean by that is hair metal, and I hate using that term, but when I say it, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It was kind of big, and the style of the songs on here have that vein, although Phil still sounds like Phil, so nothing's going to ever take away. He's very unique and very distinct. But the songs, you can see they were trying to go for that style, and the production on this was also very 80s sounding. Think bands like Doc and Rat, that type of production going on. And I was into that music, and I like that kind of music. That's what I was really getting into, playing guitar and stuff, was all that style of music. So this kind of is what I enjoy listening to. So going back and listening to it was actually really fun. I actually remember the song Between a Rock and a Hard Place. I remember that one. The rest of the songs on here was listening to them for the very first time. There's only 6 songs on the original. I did get the one other version of this, which had the bonus track Lonely Cities of the Heart on it. And they're all like really good songs. They're really good. They threw a bunch of extra live stuff here on this one, and most of it's like live. Actually, it's all live in Milwaukee in 1986. And then there's the instrumental version of Between a Rock and a Hard Place thrown at the end. They threw in Only You Can Rock Me, a cool song. The Chase, which, and actually Night Run, which I don't really remember hearing that on much other live stuff. So that was kind of cool to have. And of course, Doctor, they had to throw one of the more popular ones on there. And the only thing I can say about that stuff is that it not recorded well. It's got a lot of, like distortion going on, like not good distortion, like it's overpowering the microphone. And, when it gets like in really loud points, and you can tell that it's not top quality recording, although it's still cool to have it on there. That part of it, I'm probably never ever going to listen to again. The rest of it, I actually been kind of digging. Played it a couple different times, and I really enjoy listening to it again. So kind of the reason I'm doing this, because we forget about these albums, or they just never came on our radar. Just you never paid much attention to them, or just never thought about getting these albums. But this one's worth checking out. Tommy doesn't play at all like any of the other guitar players that they had in the band. He's got, I wouldn't say he's got his own sound, but he doesn't sound like, because I'm not trying to be mean here, but he doesn't really have a unique sound to his own. Good player, solid solos, great rhythm playing, but if you heard it, you wouldn't like say, hey, that's Tommy M. But when you hear like Michael Schenker, you're like, holy crap, that Schenker, or even Vinnie Moore for that matter's got a kind of a style of his own. So he doesn't fit in that category, but the songs are really good. And if you like that style of music that was going on at that point in time, you're probably going to enjoy this. If you didn't like that style of music, then this might not be your cup of tea. But if you're a UFO fan and you don't have this one, it's probably something you should have anyway. But anyway, enough babbling on this one. I thought I'd throw that out there real quick. If anybody else has anything they want to add to this that I may have forgotten to mention at this point in time, as always, feel free. That's what this is all about. It's not about proving anybody wrong or arguing about things. It's just adding to the conversation and enjoying the music, and that's what this is all about. And as always, I say like, share, and subscribe to keep the music alive. Although, I'm still going to say that because it does help. And UFO may be over. Phil Moggs got Moggs Motel, I think is what it's called. That's coming out in September, so he's got another thing going on now. But, who knows? These bands say they're never going to make music again. How many times have you heard that? And then they do. So we may hear something more from UFO again. So keep your fingers crossed. And until then, we will see you.